Hey, what's up guys? Bajheera here. Got some Blade and Soul Destroyer 1v1 arena matches on my way to hitting 1600 rating, which is also gold rating in the beta. So, Blade and Soul is actually out and available right now, but I do want to share some PvP clips with you guys because that's what I'm going to be doing mostly in Blade and Soul, and I definitely want to share this with you guys in case you were thinking about giving it a try. But anyway, what I'm doing here is a Destroyer versus Destroyer mirror, and a lot of the way to Destroyer versus Destroyer mirrors work, in my experience, is trying to put your opponent on the back foot by getting either an aggressive opener that they don't get a chance to counter, or trying to counter their aggressive opener with a really nice defensive play to give you the advantage. Either way, you want to put them in a vulnerable position and really work on comboing them down. I got a nice series of stuns there into a grab that I transitioned into a throwdown for a few ticks of my Wrath ability, followed by a smash to deal a ton of damage. Then I'm popping my defensive Fury to feed me rage while I do an empowered Typhoon, which puts this guy at a huge health disadvantage. There's a lot that I did in the beginning there that he's trying to make up for right now. Fortunately, my trinket comes up exactly in the nick of time because he's really powering up his offensive comboing right there, and I barely escape. Right now, he's done a lot of damage to my health bar, but because I had such a good opener, and because I feel like I'm still pretty confident, have a lot of my cooldowns available, and he doesn't have many left, I'm able to get a nice little bit of animation canceling followed by a smash through his attacks to finish him off and score that first round victory. Now, when I'm doing this commentary, keep in mind that I am still very new to Blade and Soul, and that I'm learning as I go, but I am having a lot of fun. So rather than taking what I'm telling you as like, this is what you should be doing, I'm sort of trying to break down what I am doing and maybe a little bit of understanding of why. And here you'll see me taking an aerial opener. That's because I'm trying to go for my jump ability from the air, because if you do that, I take a talent that pierces defenses, which means that if they're doing a spin to avoid that sort of thing, I can go right through that. You see, I used my trinket extremely early there, which is not usually a good idea, so I know I'm gonna have to get really offensive here to try to counter any sort of offensive push he's gonna do. So I popped my defensive Fury and red spin right on him, and that's gonna make him take a lot of damage, but he tries to match me with his, but since I'm using my defensive cooldown there, I'm gonna take very little damage from him, and he's gonna take a lot of damage from me. So he's, once again, he's on his back foot, and whenever I get somebody to grab, I actually usually bring him to a corner, because it makes it a lot harder for them to get away, and you can see the results of being put in a corner here. I'm able to do free damage to this guy and do pretty much whatever I want. He's able to get a little bit of a fight back in there for a second. You know, he's throwing me in the air, but at this point, he's like one hit away from death. And he, once again, he's trying to pop his really powerful offensive cooldown, and I'm just going to get out of there and try to finish him once I charge back in. So, kind of a nice match from me. I feel like I had really good control of that matchup. Sometimes there are times where you don't feel like you have good control, but one of the things about this game is that when you do something well, or when you do something poorly, you want to learn from it either way. This game is extremely rewarding to the player, learning from their mistakes, learning from their things that they did well, improving their skills, and bringing those little lessons into the next matches. So this matchup is up against a Blade Dancer. Blade Dancers are pretty tough. They have a really powerful offensive arsenal while still being able to use a lot of defensive abilities. Now, I catch this guy in a really nice early stun off a parry, I believe, and I get his escape that he uses to get out of my grab. So that's already one cooldown out of the way. Now, this is kind of a weird play. He gets me in a grab, and I don't have a trinket because I used it earlier, but this is an interesting thing. I use my little backwards dash escape, and I think I hit it in a certain way that allows me to use my little charge ability that I usually have off my C ability. So I'm gonna have to go in my Destroyer talents and figure out if that's something I can consistently do. Because if I can use my little back dash to immune something, and that gives me a charge of my dash knock ability, that's something I definitely want to learn how to use. So once again, I get this guy backed into a little bit of a corner, and I'm gonna just empower myself with my Fury ability, hold down that Typhoon butt, and just spin this guy down, because he doesn't really seem to know how to get out of there. So, like I said, I've talked about this before, that spin to win tactic can definitely win you some games early on. When people don't really know that they need to get away from that, or how to get away from that, or how to stop you from doing it, it can definitely get you some cheeky wins. And I think at that point, he had sort of exhausted a lot of his abilities, and I was able to just sit right on top of him, blade storm him down, and get a nice win on a gold opponent, no less. So, once again, I'm trying to go for an aerial opener, don't really get it, and I put myself in a really rough position right off the bat. I mean, I turned my back to him, he gets a nice little charge dash on me, and I'm already in a rough spot. So I'm going to trinket early, which, once again, not the best decision all the time. I try to charge him, I get knocked back on it instantly, and here I find myself in a really, really rough position. So I put myself in a bad spot, and I'm getting punished for it. I'm already down to about almost a third of my health. I do get a parry, which I can maybe work off of, but I believe he trinkets it there. So once again, he's really far ahead. I guess he can trinket a little bit aggressively. If I was a little bit more heads up about knowing how to set up my super offensive animation cancel burst, then maybe I could punish him for that, but that's not really the style that I've been playing up to this point. I use a lot of throws, I use a lot of grab tactics, and that's something I probably need to work on, is setting up my offensive burst. And as the beta was ending, that's something that I was working on. Definitely using throwdown more than throwing somebody up in the air. Throwing somebody up in the air is a nice way to get a consistent amount of chunk damage. It's a slower way to play. It's more control oriented. But at the same time, you can definitely get some pretty nasty one-shot victories if you know how to set up your burst. That's something I'm going to continue to try to practice, learn, and share with you guys. So I put myself in a rough spot this game. This is kind of a good example of what can happen if you don't use your defensive abilities well. And once again, if you throw your shield up in front of a Blade Master, they can just grip you and break that shield instantly. So I'm staying alive here. I'm trying at least. I'm going to use my spin a little bit, which is going to give me an activation of my my dash into throw in the air kind of thing. I think that's what happens when you use Fury. I think Fury unlocks a lot of cool abilities for you. I get him in an animation cancel combo, and I miss my my leg sweep there. I wonder if I had hit my leg sweep if I maybe could have killed him. He still has a fair amount of HP, but I was animation canceling pretty well. He does not attack into my first little bait dash to the C ability. I definitely need to brush up on what these abilities are called. There's basically the C ability. It's really cool. It's one of the ones that I've been practicing using more and more. It's the first phase of it is kind of like a cartwheel kind of dash thing with your weapon. If they attack into that, then you get the second use of it, which dashes to your opponent and throws them up into the air that you can combo off of. So that's really fun. One of the ones that I've been trying to use more and more. But here comes the beginning of the second match. Once again, I think he gets the better opener here. I'm trying to hold my trinket, but I really can't. I really need to go aggressive here, so I get him in a stun, hit him with my smash attack into some animation canceling, which brings him lower health than I am. So right now, we're just kind of scrapping it out. He's going to knock me up in the air a bit, and I'm looking at what I've got. I still have my Fury, my defensive Fury, and my Q in my pocket. So that's what I'm doing right now. I empower myself with my defensive Fury. I use my Q ability, and he gets a little bit hit by it, but then he escapes. Fortunately for me, I've been able to jump on top of him and do some more animation canceling. Here, if I could break his throw, that'd be great. He lets me down a little early, which is good for me. I do dash into his spin, so I'm not going to be able to use that stun there. Right now, I don't really have any abilities left. I do have my jump, and I have my grip. So those are the two things I have in my arsenal to combo with. I have a little bit of energy left, and I'm going to need it. So I'm going to get out of that with my trinket. I'm going to put my shield up to get a little bit of health back. I'm going to bait him into using, into dashing into my little C attack. He doesn't get I don't get the grip, but I do get a chance to grip him in and hit him with a fully charged smash, which luckily crits and gives me the win. So two kind of cheeky victories against that guy, but that's how it goes sometimes, and I'm rewarded with 17 big points off of that. It was very nice. Alright, so in this next matchup, I'm up against the Summoner. And one of the main things that I'd usually try to do against Summoners is take out their pet. Their pet is responsible for a lot of their CC, and if you die to a Summoner, it's oftentimes to one of their big pet knockdown CC combos, and they're just going to belt you with their little flower beams or whatever it's called. So one of the things I try to do is either try to get a nice animation cancel on the pet or, Blade Storm start. Now the problem is, a lot of times Summoners can make their pets play defensively. And if they're really heads up on their pet's defensive ability that makes them take less damage, it's really hard to kill them. But if they're not heads up on that, you can really get some nice animation canceling. And what I'm going to do here is I'm even going to try to chuck the pet or use the pet to throw down on top of the Summoner to get a quick kill on it. But the pet sort of gets grinded down eventually, and now it's just me and the Summoner. When you get to this point, it's unlikely that Summoner's going to be able to solo you. At least, that's what I've seen so far. But you can see those little flower beams I'm talking about right there. He gets you rooted and just lights you up with them. And that's not even without his pet, I mean. So one of the things he's going to try to do now is the Summoner's going to try to go into stealth and run away from me and try to get a pet summoned back on. But I'm not going to let him do that. I'm going to catch him in a nice charge stun, get a grab on him, do some damage to him, reduce his defenses, throw my fire down, throw him down on the ground, and I was about to unleash some combo action, but he used his escape right there to get away. So once again, we haven't used too gigantic of cooldowns, at least not since the beginning, so a lot of our stuff is back up. We're kind of low health at this point, but I'm going to use my defensive ability, get a nice Q spin here. He's going to get away from that, but it still allows me to get on top of him, get a hold of him, and try to grab him. Once again, he's able to escape my grab, but I still think that we're in a good position. Our health is kind of low, so I'm going to bring out my shield, regen some health while he's just kind of running around. He does have a way to break my shield, which is a surprise. You know, this is, you know, some of my first experiences playing Blade and Soul, so I'm really enjoying the game. Really enjoying learning it, but there's a lot to learn still, and that was one of the things I gotta learn, is that a lot of classes do have shield breakers, so just be aware of that. Once again, I'm gonna get him in a combo. He shouldn't have much left for this, so I'm gonna get him on the ground here, try to do some stun combos, but once again, he uses a little escape, a little vanish ability, and I still haven't done a ton of damage to him, which is interesting to me, because he hasn't really seemed to have done much of anything to me, just kind of waddling around trying to, you know, escape from me. That's kind of how it works sometimes. People can do some passive damage. Like, he has been rooting me a little bit, which does a little bit of damage, so I'm running a little bit low on cooldowns here. But I do see that my shield is coming up again, so I'm going to probably try to get another shield usage. I'm going to bring my shield out to stun him. He gets stunned by the shield, but it eventually breaks it again. But I still have my my defensive fury spell that I have available. So use that, get a little bit of a big spin on him. At this point, I finally have a chance to do damage, I feel like. I throw him down, I get a few ticks of wrath on him, which is great. Now at this point, I'm going to use my C to see if he'll attack into it. He didn't. But I get him in a like max range knockdown there. I'm still rooted, but I'm trying to escape. I don't have enough fury to really blade storm out of there, but I can still get him in a leap stun. I get him with a grab, hit him with a few attacks here. I need some energy so I can finally get him in a nice animation cancel combo. But since he is low enough, since I've been chasing him around, whittling his health down, I am able to just throw him up in the air, finish him with a pile driver, and score the first round knockout with that combo. So in this next round, I am going to try to get an even more aggressive start on the pet, just because I know as soon as I get that pet down, I am able to start working on the summoner in particular. One of the things to keep in mind, though, is that the summoner is a little bit more heads up. They may start using defensive abilities on their pet, like right off the bat, so even though it's tempting, you might not always be the best idea to just absolutely, you know, light up the pet with everything you've got right off the bat, because a simple defensive ability from that summoner onto the pet will negate all that burst that you've got going for you. But at this point, I've seen that the summoner used the defensive ability, so I may as well see what I can do, get this pet down. Do some really nice animation canceling on the pet, get that pet kill. Now it's just me and the summoner once again. Now I know that this particular summoner is really willing to kite it out, but I'm going to try to get aggressive early on, because I know that if it stalls out, I'm probably still in the advantage, but I don't necessarily want to give the summoner time to stick around and learn from their game last time and maybe get a little bit more aggressive on me. Because even without a pet, you know, we saw the summoner still can do damage with the root into, you know, flower beam combo, especially if I get energy starved. So, you know, as a destroyer, that's one of the reasons I like to play destroyer, because you do have a really aggressive, in-your-face play style. So that's what I'm going to try to keep doing, whittling them down. And as you can see, even though the summoner's not really getting a lot of chances to do a lot of intense attacks on me, my health still does dwindle over time. This time I have enough energy to break out of that root, and once again, they're just trying to stay in stealth, really trying to escape, and I'm pretty sure one of the mechanics for the stealth is they put like a flower on their head, I think, if I remember correctly, and if you attack them during that time, then they get like a use of stealth. But I catch them in a charge, once again, get a few animation cancels on them, that left click, right click combo, and get some nice damage on him. I'm going to try to spin out of this one, probably try to use my C ability. I do catch him with that, but I don't have enough energy to follow up on it. You know, chasing this guy around, not really being able to get a chance to attack him really puts my character at a very energy-starved state. So once again, he puts up his little flower as soon as he's out of stealth, and I use my grab into it, so just ends up negating my my grab and puts him back in stealth. So it's a little bit longer of a fight, but at this point it's important to, you know, keep your cool. I do have my shield available at all times, so I'm going to go ahead and whip it out right now, because I know that he's not really doing anything in particular. When I have my shield up, I thought he might be looking for something to do to me after that, so, you know, I try to bring the shield back out and jump on top of him, but he's still running around. So basically, I'm just waiting on my cooldowns at this point, giving him a chance to run around, drop his little spores on the ground or whatever. But, you know, whenever my smash comes up, that's going to be a nice chunk of damage. Whenever my fury ability comes up, that's going to be a nice chunk of damage. Whenever I get him in a snag, I can drop some animation cancels on him. And then once I get the animation canceling started, once I get him on the ground at least, or in a daze or in a stun, that's when I can start to chain him. So you saw me chain that into a leg sweep, which give you a chance to do more damage. And here I'm going to get him into a stun, a few animation cancels. You know, a lot of times you're going to want to grab them immediately after you stun them, but it's worth your time to do a few animation cancels beforehand just for that extra damage. So that's going to bring us to the end of this video. Plenty more Blade and Soul PvP on the way. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!